Hey everyone, it's Allie, and we're going to be talking about what actually is happening with Paramore. Before we jump to conclusions about breakups, goodbyes, and no more albums, let's talk about how this happened and why we're here. On December 14th, Paramore released a statement that said, now that Paramore has spent the year touring behind This Is Why, and making sure to take better care of themselves while they're at it, a chapter of the band's career has come to a close. They've now fulfilled all label obligations and are effectively free agents. As for the future of Paramore, all three members have agreed that there's a level of uncertainty. After that, the band wiped all of their social media accounts and their websites disappeared. Since then, they dropped from iHeartRadio Festival Alter Ego, and now Swifties are scrambling trying to figure out if they're actually going to open for Taylor Swift in Europe. What is going on here, or should we say... Look, in today's age, swiping your social media accounts clean before a new era is not something new. And for Paramore, definitely not uncommon. Paramore has always left fans wanting more and kind of being very secretive about what their next move is. And before you start thinking, oh, but they could actually be breaking up, all this stuff, they literally said they have fulfilled all label obligations and are effectively free agents. That, to me, does not sound like a breakup post. They're simply telling us that they're no longer bound by these stupid rules or the 8-album contract that they've signed. Oh, 8-album contract? You didn't know about that? Correct. When Hayley was 14 years old, she signed to Atlantic. Paramore wasn't signed to Atlantic. Hayley was signed to Atlantic. At the time, Atlantic signed Hayley, being like, oh, she's going to be our next Avril Lavigne, our moneymaker, or whatever. But Hayley was like, no, I have a band. They signed Hayley to Atlantic, and they were a band, they were a punk band, and fortunately, Atlantic has a great indie punk record label, Fueled by Ramen. But they still ended up under Fueled by Ramen, under Atlantic, under Warner Music Group. At some point down their career, they decided that, they want to make sure that the band is fairly paid, so they created a company called Vroom Woe. I don't know if that's actually, the Vroom Woe, whatever. Under this company, they were the business entity that paid Paramore, all the band members, and then also own the rights to all of Paramore's name, all of that stuff. But at the end of the day, the contract was still Hayley with Atlantic, and they signed her for 8 records. It's a bit convoluted and honestly sad that it's been this way for this long. At the ripe age of 14, I can't imagine that she saw another option. This Is Why was the Infinity Stone to Atlantic's last Paramore gauntlet. It's complete. They can snap, and now the contract's done. Now, you may be wondering, 8 albums, that doesn't sound right. Correct, because they did 6 with Paramore and Hayley had 2 solo records. And why is this the case? Paramore signed a 360 deal, and you may be wondering, what the heck is a 360 deal? Well, a regular record deal is me, the artist, lets you, the record company, publish my music. In exchange, you give me studio space, you make the physical record, all the production, and then also the promotion. And because you did such a great job, you get to keep what you earned. But I'm going to go on to a tour this summer, and all that money's mine. Now, in a 360 deal, it's a little different. It's a very exclusive contract between the label and the artist that the label takes shares of music sales, owns the right to publishing, then everything else you do, concert, merch, TV appearances, the label takes a stake in that as well. These labels are basically taking a gamble on these artists, investing money typically up front, $10,000, $20,000 per person in the band, and then also taking the extra sales between all of those other lanes. But with the power of a label declining these days, it's easier than ever to promote your own music, but labels do have the ability to push new artists. What does the future hold for Paramore if they are out of this 360 deal and they don't have a record deal, but they still own the name for Paramore? They can operate under the name Paramore. They are free to do whatever they want with that. So they could stay an independent band and just release music by themselves and pay for their own tours, supply funding to all of their folks. It's an option. Another option is, they would go to a label that they trust. Maybe a label owned by their own band member, Zach Farrow. Zach owns the record label called Congrats Records, which hosts indie artists in Nashville, including Zach's own side project called Half Noise. And they could hire a company under Congrats Records and build Paramore out under Congrats. It's an option, but in the reality of things, it's a small indie record label. Maybe he wants to keep it small and promote smaller artists. But at the end of the day, Congrats Records is a small indie record label. They would have to hire an entire team just to handle Paramore on top of these other artists to cover promotion, distribution, and then on top of that, international dealings, because Paramore is a worldwide band. But the truth is, we don't know anything, and we are stuck in limbo waiting to find out what we're going to be seeing from Paramore in the future. It's a new year and a new dawn for Paramore. No tight contracts holding them back. But the clear statement here is that something is brewing, and I think we should be excited about it. That's all I know for now. Be sure to comment down below what you think is going on with Paramore and maybe your craziest theories. And if you want to hear more music gossip and different deep dives in the internet, follow along, subscribe.